Coming up, we're back into the inbox.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Steven Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey guys, welcome along to another episode of Double Tap. Shaun Priest, how are you today?
Oh dear. Oh, better than you, it sounds, Steven Scott. Where's that deep, rich, resonating, booming voice that everyone loves?
I don't know what happens. I honestly don't know. I have no idea. It's all the way up
Oh,
here
no,
now.
no, you're not.
I go from Barry White to Mickey Mouse.
Are you still suffering?
Hey, everybody. You know what? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think last night, because you know I've got COVID-25, right?
Nope, definitely not.
I do. I absolutely do.
Nope. Okay.
I think last night I got upgraded overnight to the COVID-26 beta.
Oh, did you? Early access?
Yeah. Early access.
Yeah,
I will
well
say
done.
there's a few bugs. I would avoid all betas. I didn't intend to get it installed, but you know what? Sometimes it just happens.
Are you sure it's not just hay fever, Steven Scott? Because it's absolutely roasting in the UK.
Roasting. It's not roasting in Scotland.
Of course it is. It must be. It's boiling everywhere. There's temperatures of 26 something Fahrenheit, centigrade. I don't know the difference, but it's absolutely roasting. I've got to say, I'm hating this sun because I went out the other day, taking the dog out in the morning. That's all I do. We know that. And
I know you send me videos now.
I do. Yeah. I just found out if you say to your Ray-Bans, send a WhatsApp video to Steven Scott, it says recording a 15-second video. So that's all I do now. And you get the spatial audio with it. I'm bringing you along, Steven Scott. I know you don't get out much.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Does everybody get access to that? So anybody on planet Earth can say, WhatsApp Steven Scott, and I'll get 15-second videos from 8 million people, or 8 billion people in the case of
everyone
the world.
try that.
Everyone try that. Yeah, great. I can't wait.
Obviously, they need to be in your contacts. There. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So I'd taken the dog out, and my white stick was getting caught in the weeds on the around my house. So I thought, I've really got to sort that out, because it's been so sunny. And it's been raining, so the weeds have gone absolutely crazy. So I went onto Amazon, right, and I bought a weed scraper. I don't mess around. I bought a weed scraper. I bought gardening gloves. I bought industrial strength knee pads because I've got a bum knee.
Industrial strength knee pad.
Well, yeah.
King Kong going to be popping by to do some weeding.
These were Evel Knievel style. These were full body armor, right? So I got those.
Godzilla happened to be passing by, out of work at the moment. So, I can do some weeding for you.
So I got up the other day, a couple of days ago, I thought, this is it. I'm going to do it. So I put on some old jogging bottoms, an old T-shirt, put my knee pads on, my gardening gloves, grabbed my machete-style weed scraper, went outside, went to kneel down on the floor, and then proceeded to face butt the brick pillar at the end of my wall.
Oh, no.
And then just stood up, went inside, took off my knee pads, got changed, put the weed scraper away, and just sat on the settee and watched Facebook for 3 hours. And had a bit of a sulk, bit of a blind sulk.
Oh, Shaun, well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I'm going to applaud you for that.
Thank
Because
you.
at least, you know what? You tried.
I tried. The intention was there.
Exactly.
I will say the next day I did go out and I did it without incident, and it's a lot better. So, it was just one of those, no, I can do this. I'm not going to pay for a gardener. That was the real reason. I'm not paying for someone to come and do this. I can do it myself. And you know what? I did. I crawled around the floor on my driveway and in the garden and did it all by hand, and it's fine. So it can be done.
Have you found out yet if you have in fact upended all your neighbours' plants?
No, it's fine.
I've
got a hedge there, so I know my boundaries. I did pull up my internet cable, though.
Oh, well done. Good. So that's the shoe screwed as well.
It's still working, though, for now. Get someone else to do it. That's the answer. We can do anything.
Anything. Sort of. But not really. Okay, so...
I took us off track there.
No.
Carry on.
It made me think because yesterday, so I brought you the review of the smartwatch yesterday, which I'm wearing today, by the way. I've got it on.
Oh, it's not in the drawer.
It's not in the drawer, and I do really like this watch. Genuinely like it. And it was interesting. So yesterday, I sat down to do the review, and since we've come to YouTube, there's been the added dimension, of course, of video, and there's been that element of, and look, I have to tell you, the wonderful people at AMI have been very clear on this. I mean, Mr. F.
Mr. F.
God bless you, Mr. F. I haven't done that in a while.
I know. I feel like we've not been speaking to him
I
for
know.
a while.
How are you, sir?
Mind
How
you,
are
he's not
you
been
and
speaking
yourself?
to us either. I just,
Yeah, I haven't heard anything in a while.
My phone can ring too.
Yeah,
Well,
just
sometimes.
saying.
Sean's case, absolutely not. But
Send me an email.
I'll be honest, I don't get a lot of notifications these days. WhatsApp just seems to just decide one day or whether I'm getting notifications, and then some days I just don't get anything. Anyway.
Isn't the iPhone terrible for notifications for some reason?
It absolutely is. So, so I sat down to do the review yesterday. Can I tell you, just a little bit insider, I feel we should keep this for the dollop, but you know what? We've got a great conversation coming up on the dollop this week, so
Sorry,
I'll
the
spare
exclusive, do
your
you mean?
blushes. Yeah, the exclusive. The
Thank
exclusive dollop.
Gross.
So I sat down to do the review, and it took me, and I'm not joking, it took me to record that segment 4 hours.
It did.
And I have to tell you, you were getting panicked messages through the course of the day. In case you were, because you might be wondering, yesterday the episode was late. We didn't get it to. I mean, we obviously made it on air for AMI audio.
Yeah,
because-
let's
absolutely.
clarify. It wasn't
you did your
late
bit, basically.
to
Yes.
air. Thank you, Mr. F, if you're listening.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll praise you for this one because you were the one that got it to air.
Thank you.
You know, you hit the deadline.
You're welcome.
So yeah, that was good. But the podcast and YouTube version was late. And that was down on me because, well, there was a lot of things happening yesterday. Yesterday became a bit stressful very
Yes,
quickly.
it did.
And settle back, and I'll tell you a story. So as I sat down to do the review,
I don't
4
know why
hours-
people say we waffle on this show.
I don't know why they do either. But, like some people don't like it. That's what the chapters are for. You can disappear off, but the rest of you can enjoy this.
This is
So-
our therapy. Sorry. carry on.
Exactly. This is what I live for.
No one else will listen to us.
Exactly. And we're going to get to that later because it's an anniversary for you today, isn't it?
Oh, what? Talking of no one listening to us. Yes, 35 years with my darling partner, Sarah.
Oh, that's
Ah,
beautiful.
I love
Oh.
you, Sarah. 35 years of joy. You lucky, lucky girl. And one day we'll get married.
Yeah. So
I don't rush into things.
I noticed 35 years, no ring on it. That's
No.
terrible.
To
quote Beyonce, by the way.
He said that, Sarah, not me. Anyway, quickly, move on.
I'm quoting modern music. How old is that song? Probably 30 years old by now, I don't know. So
Yesterday
anyway,
was stressful.
yeah. So just like this story, it
Wow.
took 4 hours to create the review of the Synapptic Smartwatch. And it's partly because I was trying to record it with the video. So I was recording so that, people who were watching on YouTube could watch along and see the watch. Because I don't think anybody else has even mentioned this watch at all.
No.
And it just kind of it felt like it came out of nowhere. And I guess we're going to hear about it quite a lot when we get to the summer season with Sight Village in the UK. They'll be showing it off there. There's going to be other places, I'm sure, where you'll get a chance to see it. So that's pretty cool. But no one else was talking about it. So I thought, well, first off, I want to get this review out. And I really wanted people to see it. So, started doing it. Now, we use this platform called Riverside, which is basically allows us to do like high quality video and recording. And we can do the show this way. And it allows Shaun to be in his shed and me to be in my bedio. My bed
Bedio.
studio. My
I like
bedio.
that. No, that works.
Bedio.
Okay.
That works, doesn't it? So I'm in my bedio.
Stephen Scott in his bedroom. Ugh.
Oof. There's no
Yes.
bed in here, though.
Sorry, carry
I
on.
can't really call it a bedroom. It's just a room
Okay.
with lots of
Spare room.
heat-seeking equipment. Is that just me? I think I'm the heat-seeking guy at the moment. I'm sweating here with this
Oh,
COVID
it's
26
warm.
beta. Anyway, so I start recording. And, you know me, guys. There's no script. There's no plan. It's just like, right, I'll just talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing it. And I was getting into a flow. And about an hour in, I thought, okay, I've made so many screw-ups on this, but I'm going to keep going and we'll get this right. And I had just finally, I think I'd pretty much just got it nailed. And then the phone battery died. Because
Oh,
the phone was recording the watch. So it was filming the watch.
yes.
Because you can connect the phone to Riverside and it can be like a second camera, right? So that was to make it easier. It meant that, I don't have to worry about syncing anything up or doing any of that stuff later. It's all live to tape, essentially. And the watch died. The phone died. And then, so I put the phone on charge, and that was fine.
Yeah.
And then I got about half an hour of charge, came back, started again, and then the watch died.
Oh, well done,
Because
Stephen Scott.
I'd been testing it over the weekend. I hadn't charged it up. I mean, the battery does last actually a pretty long time. I think I got about 2 days out of it, and then it died. So yeah, I put it on charge, got it charged up, and then another half hour later, got started again. And by hour 4, I was a little bit stressed out.
Day
because we
14.
finally got it done.
Things are not going well. Yeah, so it took you about...
And then after that, I had a whole host of other things going on, and I had to go somewhere else.
Yes.
And had to do the edit remotely.
Oh.
And that didn't work because then I couldn't download files. And I believe I was on a 90 megabit internet connection, which is, that's clearly, the world of the savages. I would imagine, a wolf would have that kind of access on the internet.
You don't know you're born. That's not bad. I thought you were on dial-up the way you were going on.
Terrible. Trying to download all these files and move things around and nothing would work. And by the end of it, I said, I think I'll do it later. Or words to that effect. And I came home, finally got home and got the episode together and we got it out. So it finally happened. But I have to say the whole day yesterday was literally spent on that one episode. I spent from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 6 o'clock at night. Excuse me. Trying to get that episode together. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, you tell us, listeners. Was it worth it? Feedback at doubletaponair.com. 13 minutes, I believe, the watch review turned out to be after 4 hours.
4 hours of sweating and toil.
Of recording and another 4 hours of trying to download 4K videos through a slow internet. Well done, Stephen
built a train
Scott.
line in the same time.
You're a hero too.
I am a hero.
Wow.
Yeah,
we're showing the scars for our troubles. I've got a bashed up face from headbutting bricks, and you've got a funny voice and tired due to editing and recording.
Yeah, I feel better today though. Well, I say that. I don't know if I do. I mean, I kind of do. I feel okay. It's just, it's just,
I've
got the remnants. I like that word. Remnants.
Oh, roll those R's.
Oof.
Okay.
Right, okay, moving on.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Remnant.
Wow. This
The
feels
things
like end
that
of
we do. Why
term
is
day.
nothing working? Why did that music go away? Right, there we go.
We're terrible at this.
That's terrible. Why does anybody want to listen to this?
Thank you so much for listening. How are you doing, listeners?
And hello
okay?
to how are you doing? You okay? You had a good day? How's your day going?
We're struggling, to be honest with you, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I'm doing fine. You know, I will say hello to all the new listeners as well. We've got lots of new listeners. Yeah. I keep seeing new names popping up in the email inbox, on WhatsApp as well. I know loads of you are commenting on YouTube. Some lovely comments. So hello to the YouTube people.
I struggle with the YouTube comments. I'm not sure how we can manage those.
That's
We can.
probably a way.
Okay. Well done. The double tap way. Yeah.
Do you know what? Just know we've read them. Just know we're there.
Yeah. Like the chapter markers. We'll get there eventually.
Exactly. I mean, we got there with the chapter markers, didn't we?
We did. Took us about 2 years, but we got there.
Exactly.
Right,
right.
feedback.
Shall we get some feedback?
Please.
Everyone's saying yes, please. Okay, first up, here's Chris.
Hello, Double Tap. So I was recently watching your episode on the Johnny Ives being hired by OpenAI and his company getting bought out. By the way, this is Chris from New York. Well, an interesting point that came up in that podcast episode was what the future of AI devices would look like. And I think quite recently I wasn't very sure what that would be. And then I guess I've pieced together what it may look like, and I think I've come to a good conclusion.
Ooh.
I think we're going to head toward definitely sci-fi territory. We've been there for a long time, but I think we're really going to get into it. We're going to get to a point where not only wearable tech will have holographic technology and haptic gloves, perhaps, where you could actually grab and move around a display, something like the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, where the lens can actually pick off on a virtual screen, but you could still see, if you're sighted, your environment, but it may hopefully still be accessible. I also believe that OpenAI is creating an operating system that is fully artificially intelligence powered, where keyboard may not necessarily be needed to use the operating system. You could just tell it, hey, check my email, let me know if I got any coupons, for XYZ, or can you play that song that I was listening to last night from YouTube? It should be able to do this on the fly. I think it's something similar to this computer featured in the movie Her, if you're not familiar. Anyway, I made this message long enough. Thank you so much for listening, and you guys have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for listening to my message. You guys take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Chris in New York there. New York? You know what? Later I think I'll have a coffee.
I'm walking here.
I'm walking here.
Thank you, Chris. I'm so sorry. I don't know. Do you know what? That's very much how I envision the future as well. I'm thinking that movie Her was actually very good. You know, about the
excellent review. Thanks, Shaun.
Very, very good. I haven't finished yet about the predictions of AI, and particularly the operating system. Installing the operating system was just a series of questions about how you personalize your AI, really, and that was all it was. It was very good. I'm moving around, walking around, doing everyday tasks just with headphones in, and you're just talking away, and she's talking back to you. Or he, sexist, was actually, you know, that makes total sense to me. So I think you're right. AI is going to have a huge part in everything, and particularly the way we interact and the way operating systems and even screen readers are in the future. But you can't help think, you know how we felt when phones moved to touch screens, and then there's that nervousness about how am I ever going to use that, right? This focus on, well, don't need a keyboard because I can just speak to it and it will understand everything I'm saying no matter how often I fall over my words. Well, what if you've got a speech impediment? What if you can't speak? You know, what if you've got hearing difficulties and that? So audio first is not always the answer. So there's still always going to be need for an alternative way to interact. So there's no, like, that is the holy grail of interaction, I don't think. Like we say, fully accessible, is that always a pipe dream?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're deaf, that's never going to work for you. So there's one issue right away. But
Chris
I
did
think,
mention the screens, right? The holographic displays, as they're being called in the latest ones. Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to look back on the days of the humane AI pin, and I know that people, you know, laughed at that, and you know, certainly many of us were very critical of it because of its lack of accessibility in any way. And you know, we'll kind of relegate that now to the dustbin of history and say, well, you know, that was that. They tried it, but that's probably where it's going. That kind of device. I mean, it's probably ahead of its time in many ways. That idea of having multiple input options. But the trick, of course, is going to be how to make those accessible to people who need it accessible. I kind of wonder if this is where Apple needs to get to. Need to get to there. That's a lot of get.
Yeah.
But they do. I think you know, it's almost like we're kind of waiting for the Holy Grail to come from Apple because we know then they'll have at least considered accessibility. I don't know if I would wait for OpenAI to come around to this way of thinking, because I don't know if they will. You know, I know there's a lot of hope around with Johnny Ive and Sam Altman creating this new thing.
Why?
But I don't even. Well, because it's new, right? Because it's a new entry into the field.
So was the humane AI pin?
Yeah, but I think even then, what is new here? And yeah, it was to an extent, but it never really made it. And it was because it was so young in its development. I think what we're looking for here is that new operating system that can do all the extras. We understand we can ask it the time and we can ask it, you know, what's around us. And we're starting to learn those things it can do. But it's the other things it can do. Like, I want it to be able to tell me my bank balance without having to open an inaccessible app. Yeah. And that's where I think we'll get to. I think we'll get to that point. And that's the cool stuff. You know, when you can sort of query something, it's using voice recognition, prints, or whatever it's doing, or it's using some kind of facial ID or touch ID.
Just hold your hands in front of the camera. It's high res enough to recognize your fingerprint. Yeah.
You know, so you can activate, but you can also authenticate yourself, and you'll be using something, you know, on your person to do that, and having multiple options again makes that more accessible to more people. And then you have different options then. So you could query your bank. You can, you know, check out in a store using the card that you have. I mean, the thing is, it's all going to change. We kind of look at it. We're trying to fit our existing world, which is a square box, into a round hole. Yeah. This is very different. And this is going to make, I think, the whole experience online totally different. But I kind of hope that because the whole interface of the internet is going to change, to be simple, to just be a communication between you and this bot, that in itself will make things a lot more accessible. That's part one. But then, of course, you have to then develop all the accessibility tools. You have to develop all the different input methods. And the worry I have is that OpenAI are just not going to be there for that at day one, because their focus is getting this product out the door and satisfying their shareholders. We don't know, but I would have a hunch that, if they came out on stage and said, and by the way, if you're disabled, if you're deaf or you're blind or you have muscular dystrophy or you have, a condition that affects your hands or the, mobility or whatever it might be that causes you difficulty using a device, well, we've catered for you too. I would be amazed.
Yeah.
And we'd all be buying it, right? That would be amazing. Do I want that? Sam Altman, Johnny Ive, I know you're never listening to this, but if you are, make it happen and you're going to make a lot of people happy and you'll have a lot of happy customers.
Well, it's all about improving the world, isn't it? And I mean, that's...
Yeah, I want to talk about that, right? But then they said the same about humane. I mean, the word, as I always remember when Mike Calvo was on, and he said, the name in the company is humane. Are we not human? And I just thought was such an important line in that. They talk about this being a humane product. They're all talking about it as being a device that gets you away from the device.
Yeah.
Because that's really what the sell is here. They're seeing this trend, which, by the way, they created, not Sam Altman so much, but certainly Johnny Ive was very involved in, creating a world where we all stare at these little rectangles all day and all night. And now they're developing a product that says, you don't want those little rectangles. You don't want to be bothering with that. You want to be exploring real life and enjoying yourself. And, this technology should come with you for the journey.
Snowboarding.
Yeah.
Well,
slacklining.
I don't know.
There's some person, I think she's a girl, on Facebook, and that's what she does. She does slacklining. And I have no idea and certainly no intention to ever do it. But I'm learning a lot about it.
Well, I don't know what that is, so perhaps we shouldn't mention it.
It's bouncing up and down an elastic band in the middle of a beach. That's what I get the impression.
Well done. Sounds great. Ambient computing. I mean, Amazon first...
I'll sign us up.
First coined that phrase, where, you don't even notice the technology is there. It just merges into the background. And I think that's where we're at. But OpenAI has no proven record when it comes to accessibility. So I just don't know how this device...
They added headings to the ChatGPT website. I mean,
well done.
A start.
Yeah, well done. I mean, the cutting edge and headings. Sorry.
Let's move on.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Let's go to Marc in Montreal.
Hey, Steven and Shaun. Greetings from Montreal. Marc Bayarjon here. I'm chomping at the bit to try the Glide. I don't know that I'd be able to afford it. It's been pegged at $1,500 US. Do that in Canadian dollars, and I would have to question if I'd be able to really afford it or not, but I want to try it and evaluate it. And then if I could afford it, I would think that I would use it. And I don't care what the public's conceptions of it are or notions. I would use it maybe in conjunction with my cane, or if I do get a guide dog down the road in conjunction with the guide dog, I don't think I'd be able to use it seamlessly by itself. From what I understand, you're supposed to be able to use it, but in conjunction with either a cane or a dog. But I would have to try it out and then make that evaluation afterwards. And I'm anxious to try it out and see what it does. I hear that if you get more than 1.5 inches of snow, it will not work too well. And I suppose that remains to be seen. And the Glide demo I've heard about for Toronto is supposed to be in June, but I have not heard any definitive notification either from the Glide people or anywhere else that is actually going to happen. But if it does, I'd like to be there to check it out. As always, great show, great information. I love your guys' take on things, and you make my day with your sense of humors. And even when you go off on a rant, I love it, because that way I know I'm not the only one that goes off on a rant. Take care, gentlemen.
Thanks, Marc. I feel better now. I feel
intro.
Vindicated.
Oh, dear.
Today's episode feels okay now.
It's Marc's fault. Glide. I mean, the amount of demos that the guys are doing is amazing. Mm-hmm. They're all over the place all the time. And the amount of people I speak to that have managed to get hands on So yeah, always check it out. See if there is a demo near you. They're all over the place.
Look, I'm with you, Mark. I think it's a combination device for me. It's another tool in the toolbox, and I think that's how I want to look at it. I think it would be something I would use alongside a cane or perhaps a guide dog down the line. Look, I haven't talked about this yet, but I don't mind sharing. I have applied for a guide dog, and I don't know if I'll get one. I've gone through the process or begun the process. I think I passed the first bit, which is the health bit. So I think I'm. They don't think I'm going to die next week, so I think I pass.
Well, let's hope they don't listen to today's show.
I know. I don't know. I have to say, we'll see how this beta goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I've been asked by some people who've known I've been thinking about this. Hang on, I thought you were thinking about getting the Glide, and I'm like, yeah, I am absolutely. But here's the thing, I have to kind of think about every possible scenario. For me, as you guys know, I've had a lot of issues with the essential tremor. My left hand is where I use my cane. That's where the essential tremor is. And the challenge I'm having is using the cane. And I was at the neurologist, and he said to me, you really need to stop using the cane on that hand. And I'm like, I know, but
okay,
fix my eyes. That. Yeah, exactly. I know. I mean, I'd love to not use the cane ever, but kind of have to. And he said, you're going to have to consider something else. And I said to him, hey, what would be cool? If you could, write me a letter of recommendation to the guide dogs people, and then I could get special dispensation.
Is that a thing?
No.
Oh,
he said, no, I can't do that. Oh, well, fair enough.
He could buy you a Glide instead. He's a doctor. He's doing all right.
Exactly. That's right. They make millions. But no, so he was saying, look, you have to really think about moving to the other hand. So that doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. And I've tried it on the right hand. I've used my cane since I was 7 years old. On and off, granted. Yeah. Wow. 7 years old, I got my first mobility lesson. And when I think back to, I've always used my left hand. I wrote with my left hand back in the day. So, that's my left hand is the dominant hand. And that's why I just can't do the switch. So, or not as easily. It just doesn't work the same way. Yeah. I'm not an efficient cane user when I'm using it in that hand. So there's that. But I'll be interested to see how this goes with the guide dog thing. It would make life a lot easier, but I kind of feel I would rather have a guide dog and Glide, sort of combo thing going on.
Can I just say,
I think that makes sense.
No one has said this is a replacement. I have seen this bandied around. Actually,
I think some people are thinking it might be good that way. You know what I mean? I think there's some people who might feel that's a good thing.
No, but all these mobility aids have different, positives and negatives, right? Yeah. And I see the Glide just as another tool in the box, absolutely. And look, no one says it's going to replace a guide dog. There's going to be things that it can't do, that a guide dog does without even thinking about it. But when you think about just those occasions where a guide dog, it may not be the best situation for a guide dog. I'm thinking about CSUN.
Yeah, I can't put a dog on a plane for 11 hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you can or not.
I think if you were sick of my stories, how do you think the dog would
feel? A Glide would be perfect for that. Likewise, the snow scenario. You're probably right. And I wouldn't expect the Glide to work in 1.5 inches of snow or whatever. There's going to be situations. I mean, my cane, I struggle in the snow with my cane. Mm-hmm. So, a guide dog is going to be the better option. I don't think anyone, I mean, I know Glidants aren't saying it's a replacement for anything.
No, they're not. Absolutely not. It's a complementary device, I think, and that's
clarifying.
Important.
That's all. Yeah,
but I think it's clarifying. But I think it's important to say that because I think there's some people who may think this is the solution to all their mobility problems. Like Mark said there, well, what about out in the snow? It doesn't work. Well, to be fair, my cane doesn't work particularly well. I don't think my guide dog would like being out in the freezing cold. I
said that, but okay.
But I know, but that's my point, right? It's like there's people who will try and kind of. Bring it into, and it's not a criticism. It's just, I think that's what we think because we're looking for a solution. Like I was thinking, Glide, this is perfect. I don't need a guide dog. This is ideal. But then I'm thinking, but what if the battery runs out?
Yeah.
I'm stuffed. What do I do in that situation? So, you have to think, we all have to think ahead. That's why we carry 2 canes when we go out. Yeah. So, it's never as simple as the one thing will be the solution. But yeah, Great comment, Mark. Thank you so much for that. Listen, stick around. We're going to get to more of your comments right after this.
This is Double Tap. We'll be right back.
Double Tap thanks Pneuma Solutions for supporting this podcast and for championing the belief that access to information is a right, not a privilege. From the classroom to the workplace, Pneuma is transforming how organizations deliver accessible content, empowering blind and print-disabled people to engage fully, independently, and securely. Whether it's providing remote tech support through Remote Incident Manager, turning inaccessible files into readable ones with Scribe, or making virtual meetings inclusive with Scribe for Meetings, Pneuma's cloud-based tools are paving the way for a more inclusive digital world. Their work isn't just innovative, it's essential. And to celebrate our partnership, they're giving away 10 Remote Incident Manager and 10 Scribe for Document subscriptions exclusively to the Double Tap community. You can sign up at doubletaponair.com/subscribe for your chance to win and stay up to date with everything we're working on. Hey Shaun, your ad could go here.
My ad? I don't want to think what that could be.
Yeah, I can't think. Air fryer probably for you, perhaps. Yeah, I think that might be right. Hey, we are now accepting sponsors at Double Tap. One of the questions I get all the time, Shaun, is, how can I support you in what you do at Double Tap? Well, this is one way you can sponsor the show. If you've got a business in the assistive tech space, or even not in the assistive tech space, but you want to reach a blind and low vision audience, you know what? Get in touch with us here at Double Tap, and hey, we might be able to help get your word to many, many thousands of blind and low vision people who tune into our show every day.
It's really easy to do. Just visit doubletaponair.com/sponsor for more details.
That's right, doubletaponair.com/sponsor.
This is Double Tap. Now, back to the show.
All right, guys, welcome back, and let's get back into your emails. And Peter wants to talk about AirTags for dogs.
Hello, Stephen and Shaun. There are AirTag holders especially made to go on straps instead of the keychain type that hang down. I have 2 dogs and they both have AirTags on their collars. I also have an AirTag on the shoulder strap for my BrailleSense 6 Mini. I have been listening to your show for about 6 months. You talk about so many things that I would like to respond to, but by the time you would get to my email, the subject might be out of date. Lol. Thank you for the work you put into each show. I'm a loyal listener. Petra in Oklahoma, USA.
Oh, Petra. Sorry, my apologies. I said Peter. Petra, thank you so much for your message. I only read what's on the thing. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I never typed that wrong. That must be your eyes. Or fingers.
Ears.
Ears. Can I just say, yes, look, never worry about, the time that you read out my message, it'll be too late, because these conversations are ongoing. So never worry about that. Sometimes we'll get there quicker, sometimes we don't, but they'll always get on eventually, I'm sure. So please always get in touch if you've got something to say, because we want to hear it.
Absolutely. Always get in touch. Like Dean in New Zealand, who I know you love to hear from.
Yes.
Hi, Stephen, wonderful Laura, and heavy-breathing man, Shaun. Well done on getting to 1,000 episodes. I want to say I've been listening probably to the show in its various forms since 2020 and just love all the tremendous content discussed. Some goes right over my head, and other stuff is helpful learning stuff. I fear, though, we may get an episode of nothing but what Shaun perceives his best heavy-breathing and ishing clips. On the blind uniform thing, I hardly ever wear sunglasses out walking or around my town. I may wear them only on the bus or in the car, simply to keep out the glare. If I wear them walking or in town, I'm not really going to see a hell of a lot at all otherwise. With the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, we in New Zealand haven't got access to Meta AI, which I'm extremely angry about. Otherwise, I'd probably be all in on the glasses. I, like the rest of the Double Tap universe, await to see what the Echo Vision glasses may bring. Well, I think they're called something like that. Oh, Amazon need to get their act together with Alexa and Spotify. She sometimes still goes crook up to 3 times a day. I've been assured it's not my modem. Well, I look forward to the next 1,000 episodes. Please, I'm begging you, Shaun, without heavy breathing and ishing. From Dean.
I think that's an improvement, actually. I think you two are repairing relations, because he's now mentioning your name.
Yeah, I know. It's all about just the conversation. So thank you, Dean. I loved it.
Oh, dear. That's nasty. Nasty.
Do you know what? It's such a good point about sunglasses, though, right? We've been having this ongoing, it's going back to Petra's, ongoing for a long time about the blind uniform and sunglasses and what they symbolize. For the longest time, I wouldn't wear sunglasses because they just interfered with what I could see. You know, as an RPer, I was trying to cram as much light into my retinas as possible at all times.
Yeah.
So sunglasses just weren't a thing. I'd want to wear them because when I go indoors and, you know, it was darker, it was just totally black to me. So it's like sometimes I'd wait outside, put some sunglasses on, wait for 5 minutes, then go in to take them off so I could see something. It's hard work. Right now, though, where I can't see anything apart from a bit of light perception, sunglasses are just on all the time when I'm outside.
I was going through the guide dog assessment, and one of the questions I was asked was about my useful vision. And I said, can we rephrase that as useless vision? Because I think that there's a really stark difference, because you can say, well, useful vision, in a medical sense, I think that means basically what's remaining, right? So you do have remaining vision, so that's useful to you. And I think that's a very interesting spin on that. Remaining vision is useful vision. I have never found that to be true. Certainly in the last 5 years, I've never found that to be true. I find it more irritating, more annoying, and it gets in the way all the time.
So interesting you bring that up. Seeing as we're all being open and honest, I recently went for a cataracts consultation, because when I went for whatever it was, my cataracts were pretty bad. So, well, I don't think my sight loss, when did I lose most of it? It was about 3 years ago, 21, 22, about 3 years ago when I lost it all. I don't think it's due to the cataracts, but you never know. So I went for the consultation, and I almost made that glib remark as well, because you go through the initial, can you see the letters on the eye? No, I can't see. I can't even see you, can't see the wall, can't see anything, right? And they said the same thing about useful vision. But at the end of it, they said, look, it's not going to make any difference to what you can actually see, but it may save, because you will lose your light perception. And if you lose that, you will notice a difference. And at the point I'm at, I kind of went, will I? But they are absolutely right. I mean, losing the light perception, even though it seems like, you can just tell the difference between if it's night and day or if a light's on, I still use it. If I'm in somewhere, I can see there's a light source over there. So it's probably a window, or it's a door, or it's something. It's useful. It just is. So, yeah.
That's so interesting, right? So that's the wonderful thing about all our experiences and how they're all so different. Like, to me, that would feel useless, but actually you're right. When I think about it, that perspective is actually, now that's useful to you because it can help you a little bit. To lose that would be,
it gives you something
challenging.
And when the consultant said, you will lose it if we don't do anything, then you realize, actually, I'm saying, I can't see anything, but I've got light perception. And although to most people that's terrible, it's something. So
and a lot of people don't think about their eye health when they've got a visual condition, an eye condition, because they think, well, my eyes are screwed anyway, so what does it matter? But it can lead to other things. That's the problem. It can always lead to something else, and you got to be careful. But yeah, I mean, my thing was, useless vision is kind of my thing, because I find my vision, what
gets
happens
in the way.
It's so strange. It feels almost like a digital picture in the sense that sometimes things will just appear in my vision that aren't there. I'll hear something, I'll almost see it appear, and then it just disappears. And the most terrifying thing for me these days is crossing a road, because I actually, it's funny, the amount of people who say to me, you're not looking. And this is as I'm trying to cross a road.
Yes.
And it absolutely drives me mad. Because
do you do the dummy look?
I don't know what I do. I just almost look down, and I'm just almost closing my eyes, and I'm focusing and listening, because my ears are my eyes in that moment, right? And as they become, when you get into this, as you fall deeper into the darkness, or whatever phrase you want to use.
Positive turn on it, yeah.
I don't work for a nationwide blind charity, so I don't have to use whatever the politically correct
That's
version
a
of that
slogan.
is. Yeah. Fall deeper into the darkness. Embrace the darkness.
Falling
Come
into
the abyss.
darkness. Wow.
But, as you're kind of heading
you concentrate,
there,
right?
You concentrate more. And, the most irritating thing is when someone's standing next to you saying, you're not looking. And I'm like, no, I can't hear anything. Could you just stop talking to me?
Shut up.
Please.
The reason I mentioned the dummy look is because I'm in the habit of looking when I'm crossing a road.
Oh, I see. So you do look.
I do look. Now, I've had to force myself, and I tried to force myself to stop looking.
I get
because
that.
it's just so natural to me to look left and right, or right and left, depending on where you are in the world, because I used to. But now I can't see anything, and I'm worried that someone will see that and think, oh, he's seen me. even though I've got my white stick and my sunglasses on, people may think, well, he's looked, so he must be able to see that I'm...
You're actively avoiding eye contact with people. And even though you're not trying to make eye contact with them, even though you may not know if you've made eye contact with them, you're actively trying to avoid it.
Exactly.
That's another trick you almost have to almost teach yourself a little bit. See, these are the little things that nobody tells you.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'll say things, I mean, many people used to say to me, and I rail against it, and I still do actually. And very different in Canada. I remember meeting, and I don't know if it's all across Canada or just very specific parts, but I remember meeting a group of kids at a conference I was at in Montreal in 2008. And it was a bunch of kids who were walking around with blindfolds on. And I was talking to the teacher, and we were doing interviews, and I said to the teacher, are they trying some kind of technology? Are they trying something here? And she said, no, our kids don't use their remaining vision. They're taught to live without vision. And I thought that was really interesting. So some of the kids had conditions that were going to deteriorate over time, like RP, and they were being trained to learn to live without vision at that early age. Now, you can say, well, that's a good thing or that's a bad thing. I personally thought that was brilliant because they were being taught all the skills they would need for later life. They were being taught, not for the moment, but for the future. And I think that was really valuable. I wish I could catch up with one of those kids today, or even, in 10 or 20 years' time, if that condition has worsened to the point where they have no vision, and see how they've managed, because they were taught so young. And I don't think they were expected to wear those blindfolds 24/7. But it was a case of, at certain places and certain times, it's more appropriate
mobility
for
training
you.
and things. I totally see that. And I, as a concept, I think it's perfect. The only thing I slightly worry about is the effect on some people just, as you put it, falling into darkness like that. Some people's personality or constitution, they may be affected by that really negatively. Maybe the anxiety is just too much for them.
Well, then you need to study the mental health of that.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. You see, again, because mental health has never really been a subject that's been part of the conversation with blindness.
Yeah, it's true.
For the longest time. And it absolutely should be, but it's only now starting to come out. That has to be built in to any sort of, if you were, analysing that as a university, or you were, taking on that as a research project, you'd have to build that in to that to understand the implication on the individual. Because yes, you can look at the benefits and you can say, well, this is good because of ABC. But what are the actual impacts on that child, from an emotional point of view, especially if they're taking the blindfold off and on and off and on, kind of jumping into different worlds all the time. And
I get it. Look, maybe I'm going too far into it for O&M purposes. Makes total sense.
For me, I kind of wish I felt. I think I said this before, but I felt I could have done better at school had I been taught that method.
Yeah, but we didn't, did we? I mean, even out of school, as back in my 20s and 30s, and early 40s, I was still using whatever I could. I wasn't embracing this stuff. I went to blind college. I didn't learn Braille.
But I was told. I was told at school. It was beaten into me, not literally, but it was beaten into me to say, use your remaining vision. Don't be using screen readers. Don't be using audio-based materials.
Right. Yeah.
Use your vision because you've got some remaining vision. Use it. That's what I was told. And it was very clear. They did everything they could. And if I asked for audio, they said, well, you don't need audio. You can just use large print. So that hindered me. And I didn't realize that until I'd gone out of school, until I'd grown up and realized that actually this education I got, I mean, as good as it was, I didn't take half of it in. Because, I remember telling a story about how I got through an exam, my English exam, by never reading the book that I wrote a thesis on.
Yes.
And that was because they expected me to actually read the book. They made it large print, which, by the way, wasn't large print. They took the book and they went to a photocopier and they enlarged it to A3.
Yeah.
And then gave me the book and said, off you go. And I couldn't read it. Now, as a kid, I'm thinking, maybe I'm just lazy. Maybe I'm just not able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just not good at reading. Because my eyes were getting sore, I was getting tired.
Yeah.
And I didn't read it. And that's the problem, right? And so it didn't, and I got the audio version because I asked my mum if we could go to the library to get the audio. I mean, I was almost screaming out as a kid saying, I can't do this. But I didn't understand. I couldn't form those words. I
Yeah.
couldn't form those thoughts.
It's far more
I had to go with my mum to the library to get the book on tape and, try and listen to it that way. And, I was told, I remember being told by one of the teachers, well, I hope you're not listening to the audio version because that's not the book you were told to read. We've enlarged the print for you, so you should be able to read it.
Yeah, see, the assumption is that using your vision is going to be better, going to be quicker, going to be more efficient. And in the case of low vision or whatever, usually it's not, actually.
And I think that, if I'm honest, I think that's had bigger negative impacts on me as an adult.
Yeah.
Than the alternative. I can't say that because I can't say that for sure because I never had the experience of the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I had been taught, okay, so, and in my case, they didn't think my vision would get worse. And when I say they, I'm talking about the doctors. So I didn't have RP. I didn't have a condition that was going to worsen over time. But if I had, and even if I didn't, even if they thought, well, maybe the best thing would be is to train them for a blind world. But again, I had pushback and parents and blah, blah, blah. There are other issues as well. But let's say that had all happened. I'd have been able to learn Braille. I'd have been able to learn how to use a screen reader effectively, or at least as effective as it was back in the mid-90s.
Yes.
But I would have started on that journey. I kind of felt I skated through school by the skin of my teeth I got through. And, it was, I talk a lot about my career of winging it, It's because I had to wing it. If I didn't wing it, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere. And I just find that kind of sad. And I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I feel sorry for the kids who are in that position now who may be feeling the same way. And I think this is the problem with the partial sighted world. We fall into that gap in the middle. You're not sighted enough to be over here. You're not blind enough to be part of this group. And that affects everything. It affects your education. It affects your friendships. It affects who you can relate to. It affects the things you can relate with.
It does.
The visual jokes you don't get, the blind technologies that you just don't understand.
Yeah,
and that feeds into your life. And you push away because you think, well, I'd rather be with this group over here because you pick a side.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, well, I'd rather be with the sighted kids, but they don't want to know you, but you kind of still push to. And mentally, this is it's unbelievable what's going on inside your mind as a kid.
Yeah. How did we get here?
What was the question again?
I don't know.
I will say this though, Dean.
Thank you, Dean. Sunglasses.
You mentioned Meta AI. So I did a cool thing the other day with them, which I didn't. I just did it by chance. I said, "Who is this parcel for?" And I didn't think I would actually have a clue how to answer that. And it told me. It said the parcel is for Stephen Scott. And that was the response. And I thought, I did not expect that at all. It's funny. Sometimes you just got to ask the AI the question, right? You just got to, don't assume. We're always second guessing it before we even ask. Will it know the answer to this? I bet it won't know the answer. I'll have no idea. Just ask it.
It's changing all the time as well. I've noticed you don't have to say look in front anymore.
No.
You can say read this or
I
what's in
rarely
front of
use
me.
that phrase. I'll say things like, what's this? Or what is this I'm holding? Or and it gets it.
Before it was you have to say look. That's when it takes the picture. Look, and you hear that the shutter noise. But now you don't have to. It's changing. But I'll be honest with you, Dean. I don't really rely on the AI at all. It's nice to have, but I don't rely on it. I walked into something the other day. It was on the sidewalk, and I didn't know what it was, so I quickly, what's in front of me, and it told me. Great, but for anything else, not really. It's too unreliable for me. I don't use it for reading anything. I cannot get the word by word or word for word or read everything. It just doesn't work for me. So Be My Eyes, being able to call friends, family using WhatsApp or Instagram or Messenger or whatever, that's where they really shine for me. The AI is okay, but
I'd say I'm a little bit more pro the AI in the sense that I think I like the being able to figure things out. I think for short text, for those quick items, identifying something in the cupboard or in the fridge, I like that. I think that's pretty cool. I do love that every so often it'll say things like, you ask it to look at something or check something, and it'll say, "Mind if I take a look?" And then it snaps and it does yes, and it snaps a picture. And I think that's kind of nice. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, you don't use it. That's why.
Very nice. Okay.
You don't sit and criticizing it.
I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, I wouldn't buy them just for the AI. That's all I'm saying. Hopefully, it'll improve.
Did you hear the story that apparently we're going to get Oakley versions We're going to get Prada versions.
Yes, that's right.
I know it's your anniversary with your lovely Sarah today.
Right, stop right there. There's no Prada going on here in this
Prada
house.
might be in. I think, well, certainly, going by what you've told me, I think Prada may be required in that
The
house.
devil wears Prada. What you saying?
Wow. Well, listen,
yeah.
I said put a ring on it. You said devil wears Prada. I think we all know who's sleeping on the couch tonight.
The
Happy
Oakleys,
anniversary, Shaun.
Yeah, thanks. Let's quickly. The Oakleys are aimed at active wear for snowboarders and things like that. So I don't know what the difference is going to be. The camera's in the middle, apparently.
Well, so they say. We don't know.
They say. We don't know yet, but it might be due out any time now.
Yeah, well, they were saying the 20th of June, so
20th of June.
More.
I've also seen the 20th of July, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm happy with mine. The Meta Ray-Bans aren't going anywhere yet, anyway.
I would like I'd like a choice. I'd like to, see what options are out there. I mean, we have a choice in terms of sunglasses, but not smart sunglasses yet. Pretty much, it is Meta Ray-Bans, and that's kind of it in the store. So it'd be nice to see some other ones. But interestingly, they are all from the same company. It's just the same parent company that are doing this.
Luxottica.
Close enough. What is it again? Essilor Luxottica. That's the one.
Yeah, just
say it with me, folks. Essilor Luxottica.
Yeah,
I like
Luxottica. Okay.
Right, let's move on to Ryan.
I am a sighted teacher of the blind in a school district in Utah that teaches NVDA, narrator, and JAWS to students as a matter of course. Which one they learn depends on their needs and technology available. Occasionally, I teach Fusion or Zoom text, but mostly we end up with Windows Magnifier and NVDA or JAWS, which is usable but not optimal. Personally, I think Supernova and Screen Reader from Dolphin is every bit as usable as JAWS with Fusion. I do beta testing for Dolphin Supernova plus Screen Reader, and I have rarely found issues that were not also present in the current Fusion releases. The keystroke commands are a little bit more like NVDA, but I appreciate that because I prefer the NVDA ecosystem and do not have a preference for the Eloquence synthesizer. In my hands, refreshable braille displays also work intuitively with Dolphin Screen Reader. For anyone looking at Dolphin products, I recommend looking at their training page to hear how their products are meant to be used, to see if the change into their ecosystem sounds feasible for the individual. I personally prefer Dolphin to the Freedom Scientific products, but that is entirely because the command structure and navigation just click more easily with me. Also, it is worth keeping an eye out into the future as NVDA has much better Windows magnifier support than JAWS and has on their roadmap screen magnification functions. But this is looking into the future. Best, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Glowing review there for Dolphin products. And quite right, too, because I think that we rarely mention Dolphin. That's because you and I don't use it.
We're so guilty of that ourselves. Yeah. And Dolphin have been around for years. Friends of mine who I went to college with 6 years ago actually work for Dolphin. They've been around for the longest time, and they do great software. Yeah. I don't know why that is, that they are mostly sort of overlooked. We talk about NVDA and JAWS, but Dolphin are also a great option.
Yeah, Dolphin are good. I remember the magnification was always first class when it came to it. I remember it was the first one I ever saw that could handle dual screen. Back in, I don't know how long ago that was, but I remember there was one where you could have one screen independent of the other with Zoom, which was really important for a lot of work because you didn't necessarily want to zoom in on both screens.
Yeah.
You might want to work on something, place your screen at a particular point, zoomed in over here, and on the right screen and the left screen, zoom in and work away on the other. And you could do that, and that was the first time I'd ever seen that. I remember as well. I was at an event, and I had it was maybe about I want to say 8 or 9 years ago, and they had these Dell monitors, and they were big touchscreen monitors.
Oh,
and they were gorgeous. And I remember I was more interested in the monitors than the software on them. I was like, where do you get those monitors? And the guy's going, I'm trying to show you the software. And I'm like, but where do you get the monitors from? Those are really cool. The days when I used to buy monitors every 5 minutes because, the big one was better. The bigger one was better.
Like
the smaller
your Apple
one's better.
Studio display that you bought.
Yeah, complete waste of money.
Not too long ago.
Did pay half price for it. So, it wasn't an entire waste of money. And it's still working. Well.
You know what? I'm thinking, Callum was saying about if we could get someone in to sort of explain object navigation, screen review for the various screen readers. Just
right, Ryan, you're on.
Ryan, if you're up for that'd be great. We would really appreciate it.
Negative Julian, final word from him today. He's not happy with you, I think.
Hello, Negative Julian here, and a cordial good morning to Mr. Stephen Scott.
Morning.
Not so to that scoundrel, Shaun Priest. I've just been listening to your podcast for the 3rd of June, in which the said priest said that I, Negative Julian, do not know which version of Android I'm using on my Motorola G54. The rogue, unprincipled wretch. I shall prove my point.
Overview. Recent apps. Settings. Settings.
We're in settings.
About phone. Moto G54 5G.
Did you hear?
27 of 27.
Did you hear that?
About phone. Moto G54 5G. 27 of 27.
Moto G54. Now we got a bit.
System updates.
System updates.
Motorola software update. Smart updates. Check for updates. System updates. Everything looks good. Security patch. The first Android version 15.
Hear that?
Android version 15.
I am running.
Android version 15.
So there you go. I am running Android version 15 on a Motorola G54.
Easy Voice Recorder Pro.
I hope I proved my case, and I will wish you goodbye.
There you go. You see?
I'm so sorry.
You poo-pooed.
I poo-pooed his Motorola.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I did. I think if we listen back, I said nothing of the sorts. I think that was Stephen Scott who was poo-pooing it.
There's absolutely no way we could ever do that.
Don't know. I'm very, very sorry, Julian, if Stephen did say that. And yeah, we apologise. But Stephen, I believe you're still stuck on Android 13.
I don't know what's going on.
On your G54. So it's your fault.
I mean, I could understand if I was stuck on 14, but I can't even get past 13. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't get it.
What have you done? You've
I don't
broken
know.
it?
I mean, I did look at some forums, and of course the classic, just turn it off and on again.
Always
Really?
works.
Yeah, tried that, didn't work. I think I may reset it, but I don't. Why would I need to reset it to get
No, you
an
shouldn't.
upgrade? That doesn't make any sense to me. So
Is it connected to the Tinternet?
it is connected to the internet. Yes.
Okay.
Actually, let me just. Coming up tomorrow on the show, Android 15 on the Motorola G54. Listen, we are back tomorrow. We'll get into more of your feedback. Listen, have a great day today with Sarah.
Thank you.
Very happy anniversary to you both, and hope it's a nice day. It was a nice chat today. It was nice. We were totally off the rails, but we got.
We apologise, but thank you so much for all your feedback. It makes the show.
It really does. Keeps us on track, or tries to at least. Thanks as always, guys, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye bye.